I'd like to demonstrate the use of the automatic image set processing command to calibrate, align, and stack a set of images. The command is on the image set operations menu, and it's the first command. And it can be used with DSLR, one-shot color CCD, or mono CCD image sets. So let's open the command. And it's arranged in tabs. There's a tab for each of the frame types. And let's select some frames here, and once this starts running I'll explain some of the different options with it. So I want to select some light frames here, and these are monochrome images from a CCD. Uh, they're not color because I want to keep the processing time down a little to keep the size of this video down. But I can demonstrate everything with this monochrome image set, and it's virtually identical with a one-shot color or DSLR. Couple differences in the options. We'll take a look at that. So we're going to select some light frames. We got 37 of them. We're going to select some dark frames. Let's see, there's flat darks, but I've already processed them. Here's some dark frames. A flat frame, well, I've already made master flat frame, so I'm just going to select it. And if I'd already had a dark frame master, I could have selected it rather than all the individual frames. Flat dark, I've already created one of those. And the bias, I don't have a master bias, so I'm going to have to create it from the frames, and they're right here. So let's see, I've got 20 master bias, and I'm going to just use the default parameters with all of this. Average them. Flat dark, I've got one master flat dark, and it was averaged. Flat frames, median's the combination method that's default and it's best to use, along with normalize. It's already been created, so there's only a single one there. The dark frames, I'm going to do an average. It's going to be called master dark. This is all defaults. The light frames, I have 37 of them. And the processing tab, this is where all the options are. Now, this is an image set from a monochrome CCD. So I'm going to select this option in the frame type. And then I'm going to go into the processing parameters. And these parameters are used from top left down, then the right column down. That's the order of processing. If I had a DSLR, the raw and bare conversion would be, or a one-shot color, the bare conversion would be used. But it's not used in this particular case because I'm doing monochrome CCD, and there is no bare or color conversion, only with DSLR one-shot color. DSLR parameter, well, if you're starting with CR2 files, this is the prefix that's used after each one of those raw DSLR files is converted to a FIT or TIFF. And you can either use FIT or TIFF depending on what you have selected here. The defaults here are fine for virtually every type of camera. Dark calibration, well, I do have master darks here, or dark frames, and I'm going to create a master dark. And once that's created, I'm going to use the adaptive high-low pixel reduction with dark subtraction. I believe that's default, but that's a good thing to use for all types of cameras. With the DSLR only, I would turn this on. And this matches the master dark to each light frame to minimize noise, and that's a way of, it does a very good job of counteracting that shifting temperature of a DSLR as you use it. It heats up and cools down through an evening. Turn that on, but it's only for DSLR. Bare conversion, well, again, I'm using monochrome CCD. I don't have bare, but if I had a one-shot color or a DSLR, this is where you could customize the bare conversion. RGB would be the default. It just means after calibration, convert it to color. extra filters, normalize, grade, align, combine. These parameters all correspond to the checkboxes over here. Extra filters is none, so it's grayed out. Normalize, here's its parameters. Grade, up here I have it set to auto shape and size, the star shape and size align grading. Align, it always uses auto star alignment. And combine, it's going to use excluded min max average. So let's give this a name, M1 excluded average. We'll save it. And then to actually use those parameters, I'm going to check this: normalize, grade, align, combine. If I just wanted to align and combine, I would do this. Maybe I wanted to normalize, align, combine, but I'm going to do everything. Let's get it running. Okay, the first thing it's going to do is, since I have multiple darks and bias, is it's going to create the master dark and master bias frame. And it just did an average of the darks, created the master dark, and see that operation was selected right here. Now it's working on an average of the bias frames. It's said to use average, and the combination name will be master bias. It already has a flat frame and a flat dark because I've already processed them. I'm just using them. You can do the same with the master dark and master bias now on these tabs. You don't need to reprocess them over and over unless you change the frame type somehow. Alright, so now we're calibrating the frames, and we're doing that automatic high-low pixel reduction. And after calibration, the next step, if it were a color camera, would be convert to color, but this is a monochrome camera, as indicated right here, mono CCD, so we're going to go straight from calibration into normalize, which should be starting now, and then we'll grade, then we'll align, and then combine. Now it's going to be about 2 minutes before this is done, so let me show you something else here while it's running. The image set processing commands, we're running this one, but each one of the commands like normalize, grade, align, combine, they're all available and can be run individually or manually, as I guess you could say. All of these image set operations take a set of files as input, does the operation on each of the images in the set, and then creates an output set. And depending on the operation, a prefix is used. Normalize files would use a prefix of NL. Grade would be GA, GB. Align would be ASA, underbar prefix for auto star align. Crop would use CR, resize, RZ. Calibrate would be C underbar. So you can do all of these steps that are automated by this command manually if you want to take full control, but this automatic command has it pretty much down to the essence of each one of these camera types, and it's I would say best to let it run first, look at the output that it gives you, and then blink the files, and if for some reason there's something there that you don't like, then you can go back in and run the individual commands separately. By pressing one of these buttons when this command is finished and they're enabled, it's the same as coming up here and doing crop and selecting the files. So really this is a command in control of all these different image set operations. Filter files is an interesting one. That allows you to apply a sequence of enhancement commands like color adjustment, levels, curves to a set of images in batch mode. And there's another video that shows you how to use that. Okay, that's the image set commands. If you want to convert just the raw DSLR images to fit TIFF or JPEG, you'd use this command. And really all of these commands, raw conversion, calibrate, convert to color, normalize, grade, align, combine, are used and chained together automatically by this command. Okay, let's see where we are. We're at grading. We're at frame 34 of 37. So we're about done here. It's going through and calculating the star shape. And then once that calculation's done, it'll just assign grades. And it looks like we've gone from 37 light frames down to 30. So it's thrown 7 of them out based on its size and shape. It has gotten too big. Okay, now we're doing the alignment phase here. This doesn't take very long. And once the alignment's done, it'll then go in and do the combination. And then we're going to inspect the final stacked image and also blink through the graded align files just to make a final check to see if I want to do a refinement align. Okay, we're almost done with alignment. Now, ImagesPlus it's multi-threaded, multi-core. So if you have one of the Windows 7 x64 machines, while this is running, I mean, you can come up here, open an image, and actually start processing it while this is running in the background. So there's no need to wait for this to finish to do something else. And with Windows 7 x64, you can work with a lot of really big files while this is running. I have an i7 Win 7 x64 laptop that has 8 processors, and this command flies, and it's easy to process really large pictures while these image set processing commands are running. So you might want to keep that in mind. It's multi-threaded. You can do many things at once, and each thread uses all available core. This particular computer is it's just a dual core machine, but it's still running nicely. Okay, the command's finished. First thing I like to do is press this file list, and it gives me a summary of everything. Here's my 37 initial light frames. If you want to inspect any of them, just click on the file name. My calibrated frames, see, here's the C underbar. You can inspect it by clicking. I normalized NL, the calibrated frame, so the normalized calibrated frame would have a prefix of NLC. Graded them. ASG, auto star grade. Here's the eccentricity and size, the shape and size. So it went from 37 down to 30, and here's the graded files. And then it aligned them. ASA. See, it changed these prefixes together. This has been calibrated, then normalized, then graded, then aligned. And finally, the combination image. And here's a summary of the commands. It created a master dark, created a master flat. It selected the flat dark and flat dark, master flat dark and flat frame. It created a master bias. Set them, calibrated, normalized, graded them. There's some statistics, aligned, and then combined. Okay. To see the combination image, press the display button, and this is an H alpha image. It's very dark, so we're going to need to stretch it. Now see this slider, I'm almost at the end, and it's too sensitive for my image, so I'm going to select the range down here to 1000. And maybe adjust the background weight a little bit. and maybe a little bit of a linear pre-stretched scale. Okay, so the stacked image looks pretty good. If I want to zoom in and crop, I'd enable this button. And that's the data shown at 100%. The stars look nice and round. I mean, that's obviously a good check of your data in stack. You might also want to do this. Press blink, and it's going to say, well, which image set do I want to blink? And you've got a calibrated image set, a normalized, a graded, and a line set. I want to blink the aligned set, and I'm just going to watch this star and check its size and position. It shouldn't vary much, and it's not. So it looks like a pretty good selection. After all, we did go from 37 down to 30 frames. We threw 7 of them out because that star got too big. And it's not wiggling a lot. So that looks like a pretty good alignment. If there's a bad one in here, maybe it's been repeated a few times, the star, from bad tracking, you could go through and mark it as exclude. If you do exclude some frames and want to refine the alignment, or maybe this just wiggles around too much, every now and then noise in the image can throw the alignment off just a little. So I do like to check this, and if I see this wiggling a little too much, I'll press the Align TSR and select a star. It's set to 1 star. If I pick this option, I can use 2 or 3 stars, and then redo the alignment. And once the refine alignment is done, you'd press Combine Aligned and restack them, and that'll be a refined stack of your image set. Okay, but that's just something to keep in mind. It's a good idea to certainly check your image, but when it's finished, and then do the blink of the aligned image set, and if necessary, run that back through the Align TSR option with the on reference, and just pick 1, 2, or 3 stars around your object to really tighten up the alignment. Most of the time it's not necessary, but every now and then it's a good thing to do. Okay, so there's a crop of our stacked image. Let's see, if I go up here to open, see, I've got all of these intermediate files, the ASA, AutoStar line, the graded files, the calibrated files. Here's my normalized files. If I press the delete button, that clears all of the intermediate files, and what I'm left with is my stacked image, all of the initial files, and my master frames. Okay, so now the next time through, I can pick this master dark and master bias on this frame or this frame without actually reprocessing each one of them. The only other thing, see, we've processed a set of images from a mono CCD. If you're going to use a one-shot color CCD, you'd use this option, bare at capture, or the raw color data before it's converted to color is the option, and you'd pick your camera type. For DSLR, you really have 2 options. You pick DSLR, you pick the camera type, where's Canon in there, and I would always use bare at capture and select raw CR2, or if it's Nikon, NEF files on all these tabs. By selecting DSLR and Canon or Nikon or Pentax, Olympus, whatever type of camera it is, you're giving it the most basic fundamental raw data, and it'll convert that to bare at capture data, and then calibrate it, and then convert it to color, and then do extra filters, normalize, grade, align, combine, as you have checked down here. If you have a DSLR camera and you're working with JPEGs or color images, you would select this option. This tells it that it's from a DSLR and they've already been converted to color. And then all of your images on all of these tabs have to all be color images and all the same width and height. If I select this and start with CR2 files, or this and start with CR2 files, since you're starting with the most fundamental data, this command will automatically convert it to the right one. Every now and then people will select this command and then use bare data or a mismatch of data, and you'll see an error saying that the commands don't, or the images don't all match. What that's saying is that some of the light frames, darks, flats, bias, whatever you have selected, are color, some of them are monochrome, or some of them are of different sizes. And to use this command, they have to be all raw, all monochrome, or all color, and all the same size. And that's about all there is to it. It's very efficient. For DSLR, again, I would always use this when starting with raw CR2 files on these tabs. That'll match the darks to the lights and reduce noise to overcome that shifting temperature of the camera. Okay.